Okay, so first of all, boys, I just want to tell you, it's so beautiful, Baruch Hashem, to see our base medrash come alive a little bit. I hope, I asked Rabbi Grossberg for Roshus to be able to do this. I hope that Amir Hashem, this is something that maybe we could do even like on a weekly basis with different topics. Amir Hashem, the opportunity to prepare sources with your Rebbeim and then get together, Amir Hashem, to learn a little bit together. So today I want to focus a little bit on the topic of Succos, see from the Maramikoma. So let's do a little bit of a quick review. I'm sure I didn't give you enough time to get through all of the sources, but hopefully at least you saw some of the sources. So a little bit of a quick review. So first of all, the first page you saw, Gemara Maseches Sukkah. What's the fundamental machlokes contained in the Gemara? Who knows? Fundamental machlokes. What is Sukkos, right? Why do we sit in a sukkah? What are the two opinions? Number one? Excellent. What are Ananei covered? The glory clouds. Excellent. Good. Excellent. Who provided the glory clouds? Hashem. Beautiful. So one idea the Gemara says, so Anani HaKavod, Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says, Halacha L'maisa, we sit in the sukkah to commemorate the fact that Kadosh Baruch Hu housed us in clouds. How long did Kadosh Baruch Hu house us in clouds for? How long? 40 years. Excellent. That's opinion number one. Opinion number two.
Rabbi Akiva says it's because we built huts.
Excellent. Rabbi Akiva, we built huts. How long did we live in huts for?
40 years.
40 years, right? Either way, remember again, the duration of the miracle or the duration of the event is the same, right? But Lamaisa, the shaila is when we sit in the sukkah. And by the way, boys, before we even go on, why is this important? Well, in other words, you'll say to yourself, who cares? Like, sit in the sukkah. What does it matter if it's because of the clouds of Anani HaKavod or Succos Mamish? Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Anyone know?
To know where we celebrate Sukkot.
Excellent. So let's take this a little further. To know why we celebrate Sukkos. Let me just ask you, totally side. Anyone ever hear of the machlokes of mitzvos, tzrichos, kavana? Anyone ever hear that phrase before? Mitzvos, tzrichos, kavana. Shmuley?
Shema, you have to have in mind.
Good. What does the phrase mean? Mitzvos, tzrichos, kavana.
You need to have kavana.
Good. Excellent. By the way, what's the glove? What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, it's here. Okay, I just didn't know. All right, fine. All right, good. Right, so good. So there's a general concept, a machlokes, in all of halacha. Mitzvos, tzrichos, kavana is just when you do a mitzvah, do you have to have kavana? Now, by the way, what's the definition of kavana? What does kavana mean? Did I not call anyone yet? Good. Concentration. Good. What is concentrate on what?
Focused on whatever you're doing.
Excellent. By the way, that's actually an excellent definition. In Kavana itself, Chavra, there are different levels of Kavana. There could be Kavana that, like, I'm doing this because HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded me to do this mitzvah because of X, Y, and Z. Or there could also just be what we call situational Kavana, which means I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. Maybe I know why I'm doing it, or I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm concentrating on doing it. So let me ask, in general, how do we paskin? Do mitzvahs require Kavana or not? In general, do mitzvos require kavana or not?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yes. All the time?
Yeah.
So let's be clear. In an ideal world, you would always have kavana when you do mitzvos. Absolutely. But, Chanoch, what are you going to say?
I can do a mitzvah without knowing that I'm doing a mitzvah.
Right.
Or without necessarily thinking it's God in that moment.
Excellent. So the truth is, there's the ideal, like the lechatchila, and the b'diavad. The lechatchila is, of course, everything we do should be filled with kavana at all times. The b'diavad is, technically speaking, if you do a mitzvah, and you don't have kavana, you're still yotzei. Right? So for the mitzvah. By the way, what's the exception to this rule? Give me an example of a mitzvah that, if done without kavana, you would not be yotzei. A mitzvah without kavana, you're not yotzei. See what I'm going to say? Shema. So Shema is a good example. Shema is one of those mitzvahs where you have to have kavana because the whole essence of Shema is Kabbalah's old machusha and the acceptance of Hashem as my God. If I don't have kavana, I'm not forming the mitzvah. Good. What else? Another example. Shmona Esrei. Excellent. Ideally, at least the beginning of it. Good. Hearing Havdalah. Why do you say hearing Havdalah?
You have to have in mind that you're doing
Oh, excellent. Shemek, fancy. All right, Shemek Kona, excellent. The truth is, Bizi's saying good. That might be true at any time you're being Yosef with someone else. Excellent. Bris Milah, great. Wow, you guys are good. All right, Baruch Hashem. Chanoch? Wow. Beautiful. I didn't even think about all this. That's fantastic. I was great. Mechila cannot be done without Kavana. Excellent. Good. Pesach Matzmar. Great. Okay. So, guys, excellent. Let me just say what I was actually thinking about. Okay, you guys are much more ahead of me. I was thinking actually of a concept of misasik. Let me give you an example. There's a mitzvah to put a mezuzah on your doorway, right? When you put up the mezuzah, do you have to have kavana that you're doing it because Hashem told you to do it? Do you have to have kavana like that? No. Let me ask a fun question. Imagine for a second I'm holding mezuzah in my hand. I trip. I fall, lose my balance. I catch my balance, putting my hand on the threshold of. All right, let me illustrate it like this. All right, imagine for a second. Again, I'm walking in. I trip. Okay, and imagine I'm holding a mezuzah on my hand, and I already took off the back adhesive. I slip. Right, I'm like, oh, I catch myself like that, and it happens to be incredible. I put the mezuzah on exactly where it needs to be. Am I going to say the mitzvah?
No.
Am I Yotzei mitzvah? What do you think? Am I Yotzei the mitzvah?
No.
Why not?
Right.
Right. So that is a concept called misasek. Misasek is a concept in halacha that if you didn't even have kavana to perform the act, but the act just kind of occurred on its own, then at the end of the day you're not Yotzei. So interesting enough, in that case, I would actually have to take the mezuzah off and put it back on with some basic kavana for the mitzvah of mezuzah. Why am I sharing with you all of this? Because interestingly enough, although we normally paskin that halacha l'maisa, that practically speaking, mitzvahs do not require kavana, and as long as you do it and you perform the behavioral or mechanistic details, you're yotzei, there's an exception to the rule. The exception to the rule is when the Torah itself gives you a reason for a mitzvah, you're supposed to have in mind that reason. Now we get back to our Gemara. Torah tells us we sit in the sukkah. Now, why does the Torah tell us we sit in the sukkah? Why did Torah tell, right? Because you saw the pasuk in the Gemara. What does the Torah say? Why do we sit in the sukkah? Why do we sit in the sukkah? Correct. Kiba Succos hoshafti es bnei Yisrael. Because Hashem housed us in Succos when we were in the desert. So now let's go back one more time. What's a sukkah?
Hot.
I'm sorry, hot. Or? Right. So now you see, by the boys, by this Gemara, it's not just seemed like an interesting machlokas. This is a necessity because when I walk into the sukkah on the first night of Sukkot, I'm supposed to really have kavana. I'm supposed to have in mind why I'm doing this. So what am I having in mind? Am I having in mind clouds? Am I having in mind huts? Yes, Susie? Good. And by the way, beautiful. The truth is, the simple answer is both. Just have in mind that whatever the reason is, either it's because of actual huts or because of clouds of glory, that's what I'm singing the sukkah. So by the way, you are absolutely correct. And bottom line, the post can bring down that in fact, when you sit in the sukkah, specifically on the first night, you should have in mind for both. That it's both to remember the fact that we lived in huts for 40 years, which is pretty, by the way, is living in huts for 40 years pretty miraculous also, or is it just the clouds that are miraculous? What would you say? All right, both. Why?
The fact that like huts stayed for 40 years.
Right, I'm just saying huts, first of all, that you could build a hut that's desert has some pretty extreme conditions as well. So that's pretty miraculous both ways. So that's the kavan I have. Good. So chaver now. Okay, so now we understand at least why we're sitting in the sukkah. One of two reasons, machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Akiva. Good. What's then the next question that comes up regarding the Yom Tov of Sukkot? This was the question brought up by the Mishnah Brura. Technically speaking, when do we observe a Yom Tov? Right? When do we observe a Yom Tov? When the event occurs. What's the question?
Is why do we celebrate Succos if like the Ananya Kavana and the huts happened when we left Mitzrayim?
Excellent. Remember, Sukkot, like Pesach, is related to Yetzias Mitzrayim. Right? Is related to leaving Egypt. Chavra, when did we leave Egypt? Nisan. What date on Nisan? Yudalad is when we got ready to leave. Excellent. And we actually left the 15th. Tesvav. So what's the Mishnah Berurah's question? Why do we celebrate in Tishrei? Why do we celebrate in Tishrei? Why not celebrate ultimately again in Nisan? I know I didn't give you enough time. Anyone get to the Mishnah Berurah's answer as to why we go ahead and celebrate in Tishrei?
Because in spring, I feel like most people, like non-Jews, they would like go outside with their huts.
Excellent.
So, like, Jews.
Excellent. Because the problem is if we celebrated Sukkot in Nisan, where the weather is beautiful, everybody, again, there's no great kunz, as they say, with sitting outside. Everyone likes to sit outside anyway. And so it wouldn't be apparent that you are performing a mitzvah. So therefore we read in Tishrei. By the way, why? In Tishrei, what is Tishrei? What season is Tishrei?
It's cold.
It's cold, it's winter, beginning of fall, beginning of the rainy season, right? Again, so it's not always the most pleasant time to sit outside. So therefore, if you are sitting outside in Tishrei, what's the only reason you're sitting outside? For the Sukkah. Okay, now everyone watch this. Get ready for this. That answer works well if you understand that the mitzvah of Sukkah is related to which remembrance? Take a step back, right? So, in other words, the fact that we celebrate the Yom Tov of Sukkot in Tishrei as opposed to Nisan makes sense if you say that Sukkah is an actual hut. Then again, huts, I'm building a hut, and therefore, again, I want to go into my hut at a time that's clear that I'm performing the mitzvah. If it's Nisan, the weather is too nice, I go into Tishrei, beginning of the rainy season. But Chaver, let me ask you this question. If you hold, like Rabbi Akiva, like Rabbi Eliezer, that Sukkah is for Anane HaKavod, then why celebrate Sukkot in the month of Tishrei? You hear the question? I'm sorry? Because at least by Anane HaKavod, if it's remembrance of the Anane HaKavod, why, in other words, then this truth is the hut is almost like an it's just a zecher. If it's just a zecher, then why not do it at the actual time? In other words, if it's Sukkos mamish, so then again, the sukkah itself is actually a reconstruction of what was. So if that's the case, then the Maisa makes sense. Do it Nisan, do it Tishrei, not Nisan. If it's Anane HaKavod, and it's just the whole thing is just symbolic to begin with, why not do the symbolism in the right time?
Maybe it won't be symbolic.
So okay, so Pasha could be that maybe the symbolism would be lost if it's Nisan, because then it doesn't look like any symbolism anyway. It looks like you're just going out to have a nice time. Good. I'll share with you that's saying good. That's the Pasha answer. Absolutely. I'll share with you something very interesting. Let's take a step back for just a second. If you look at the timeline, so remember, now we're going with the opinion that Sukkah is not a hut, but rather that Sukkah ultimately is Anani HaKavod. Whose opinion was that? Whose opinion? Rabbi Eliezer. Excellent. So now watch this. Let's take a step back, Chabra. A lot of very important things happen in the month of Tishrei, right? Remember, what Yom Tov did we just finish? What Yom Tov? Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is what date? What date on the calendar? Yud Tishrei. Excellent. Now, Chavra, why is Yom Kippur? It's going to sound like a strange statement. What event made Yom Kippur a meaningful day? What occurred on Yom Kippur that made it meaningful? What occurred on Yom Kippur that made it meaningful?
Moshe came back down.
Excellent. Excellent. Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the second set of luchos, right? Ultimately, remember, what happened to the first set of luchos? Destroyed. Why?
Because he came down and saw the eagle.
Excellent. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down, sees the eagle, destroys, right? When did Moshe Rabbeinu come down with the first set of, let's just get our timeline straight. When did Moshe Rabbeinu come down with the first set of luchos? Who knows? First set of luchos. Close, different fast day. Shivasar B'Tammuz, excellent. So Shivasar B'Tammuz, ultimately, again, Moshe Rabbeinu comes down, breaks the first set of luchos. What happens after that?
He goes back up.
When does he go back up? Anyone know? When does he go back up? We're getting a whole bunch of Jewish history in here also. Right, when did he go back up? He goes back up Rosh Chodesh Elul. Rosh Chodesh Elul. That's one of the reasons why we blow shofar beginning Rosh Chodesh Elul, because when Moshe Rabbeinu went up, they blew the shofar. Moshe Rabbeinu was up on the mountain for how many days? 40 days. So if you start Rosh Chodesh Elul and you go 40 days forward, what date do you come out on? Take a wild guess. You just said it. Yom Kippur. So watch this. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down on Yom Kippur. Now, Chaver, let's okay. So hold that for just a second. When Klal Yisrael built the golden calf, when we built the Egel, what were the repercussions for building? What was the punishment for building the Egel?
Everyone who did it died.
Excellent. First of all, excellent. So first of all, everyone who actively participated, or even someone passively participated, died. Good. What else happened? They lost the luchos. Excellent. What else happened? Hashem wanted to abandon us. Did he? No. But something did happen. Something did abandon us. Anyone know what? Excellent. Number one, the Bechorim lost the right to serve the base, which actually was transferred over to Shevet Levi. Excellent. We also lost the Anane HaKavod. The Anani HaKavod left Klal Yisrael as a result of the building of the Egel. So now watch this, okay? So there's no Anani HaKavod now. No Anani HaKavod, okay? Get ready. One more time. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down on which day? Which day? Which day? Right. He goes up on Rosh Chodesh Elul, good. Comes back down on, comes at Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is what day of the month again? Yud. Excellent. Clever, watch this. I didn't give you this amount of comments, but listen to this. So Moshe Rabbeinu comes down on day number 10. On the 11th of Tishrei, what begins? 11th of Tishrei, Klal Yisrael begins to build something. What did we begin to build? Mishkan, right? First, actually, a couple hundred years later, right? First, right? Mishkan. So the construction of the Mishkan begins on the 11th. Okay? Keep the timeline here. Listen to this. The pasuk says, if you're going to build a building, what do you have to do? What do you have to do? Fundraise. Yeah, yes, he knows. He's part of my show. He knows. You need money, right? You need guilt. You need a lot. So what happens? They fundraise. But here was a great miracle. How long did the entire fundraising process of the Beis HaMikdash actually take place? To go at it? How did it go on? How long did it go on for? So listen to this. The pasuk says that they brought before Moshe everything they raised. Vehem heviu elav od nedava baboker. Chazal tell us, this is wild. The entire fundraising process for the Mishkan took 2 days. So watch this. One more time. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down on which day? Let's go through the time. Which day does he come down on? Which day? Yud. Right? Announcement for the Beis HaMikdash takes place on? The 11th. Fundraising takes place on? 12th and 13th. On the 14th, ultimately, again, they stop the fundraising and everything is complete. The first day in which, again, they didn't build the Mishkan yet, but the first day in which the entire fundraising process was complete for the Mishkan. The Luchos are down. Klal Yisrael is returned to what it was before, was the 15th of Tishrei. Chavra, what date is the 15th of Tishrei? Succos. Chazal tells us, do you know what returned back on the 15th of Tishrei? The Anani HaKavod. The Anani HaKavod. So an incredible idea that when, one more time, Moshe Rabbeinu comes down on the 10th, puts out the call to build the Mishkan on which day? On which day? The 11th. They fundraise on which days? 12 and 13. On the 14th, Moshe Rabbeinu says, enough, we have more than enough. And the 15th of Tishrei, Klal Yisrael was restored back to what we were before the Chet HaEgel, and the Anane HaKavod returned. So do you want to know why we, in addition to what the Mishnah Berurah says about why we observe Sukkos in the month of Tishrei as opposed to Nisan? Yes, because if you go out in Nisan, it doesn't look like you're going out for religious observance. It just looks like you're going out because it's nice to sit outside. There's something amazing. The 15th of Tishrei was also the day that what returned? What returned? The Anani HaKavod. Exactly. So especially according to the opinion who holds, like Rabbi Eliezer, that Sukkos is Anani HaKavod, the actual clouds. The incredible thing is we observe Sukkos mamish on the exact date when thousands of years ago the Anani HaKavod returned to us. What an incredible and overwhelming idea. So this year, Meretz Hashem, when you go into your Sukkos on the first night, when is Sukkos? Shabbos night, Friday night, first night of Sukkos, when you go in. So remember again, do we have to have Kavana when we sit in our Sukkah? Do you have to have Kavana? Yes. Yeah, we say brachas, right? Have Kavana. What do you have Kavana for? Why are you sitting in the Sukkah? Why are you sitting in the Sukkah? Another Kavana, or the actual huts, right? Either Sukkos Mamish, right? Either Sukkos Mamish, because it says in the Torah, right? We observe, in other words, I have to have Kavana for Sukkah, because the Chashbarach says, keep a Sukkah, so Shafti. Why am I sitting in the Sukkah? Either to remember the hut, or to remember the Anani HaKavod. If it's the huts, why am I sitting here in the middle of Tishrei, as opposed to Nisan? Why?
Because also then, regular people build huts.
Correct. To show that I'm not out here for my own enjoyment here. I'm out here to go ahead and, because Chashbarach who told me to. And if it's for Anani HaKavod, then why am I sitting here in the middle of Tishrei? Why? Because that's when the Anani HaKavod returned. Chavra, listen to this. With this I'm going to conclude. This is also so beautiful, the way that Sukkos fits in after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Right? Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are days of tshuva. And sometimes, when we do tshuva, think about it just a second. When you do tshuva, what is the great unknown? Right? Hopefully we all had a beautiful Yom Kippur. What's kind of like the question that's still going on in your mind a little bit?
Did your sins get forgiven?
Was I forgiven? Was I really forgiven or not? Like, did it work? And what the Yom Tov of Succos comes along is Yom Tov of Succos is that Tov Chaburah who tells us, you're forgiven. If you do tshuva b'leiv shalom, if you do tshuva with a complete heart, then yes, at the end of the day, one is forgiven. Sincere tshuva always meets with forgiveness. And that's the beauty of Succos. The same way that our ancestors, after building the golden calf, right, yet they were given forgiveness on the 15th of Tishrei with the return of the Anani HaKavod. If our tshuva is sincere as well, the Ribono Shel Olam is only too eager to enter back into our lives as well. So Chavra, it's been a great Succos Baruch Hashem to learn with all of you. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful time off. Enjoy your vacation. One request. I know all of your Rebbeim are giving you different incentive programs. Boys, Baruch Hashem, the one thing you should make sure to do over vacation, is have fun. That's the first thing. You should relax and you should have fun. But Baruch Hashem, the day is long, and you should spend the majority of it relaxing and having fun. But my only request is, make sure, of course, Emir Hashem, whenever possible, to daven with a minyan. It's always a great Succos Baruch Hashem. Tefillah is always beautiful, but davening with a minyan always carries with it a very special opportunity. And even if you daven, I think even now, Baltimore, you can even find, can you find the Shachris at 10 o'clock in the morning here? You probably can, at least.
I can stand.
Okay, so, again, good. So, plenty of time, even late Shachris. Don't worry about Zmani Tefillah. It's okay. Whenever you can get a minyan, go ahead and daven. And boys, also just carve out a little bit of time to learn. Even 15, 20 minutes a day. And whatever you're going to learn, you're going to do Chazara for your Rebbe. You're going to pick up a book off the shelf. We're going to try to put out some recorded stuff also on the YMC announcements chat. Just carve out a little bit of time. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great time. Rest. Regroup a little bit. It's important. You work hard during the year, so you should have fun, and a lot of fun. But along with all of that fun, Baruch Hashem, a little bit of davening, a little bit of learning will allow you to keep the beautiful spiritual momentum that you've started this year. It's been an incredible start to you, and I have to give you boys an incredible yashar koach. I want to thank you because each of you have contributed to the beautiful atmosphere in the yeshiva so far. It's just the beginning of the year, but it's been fantastic. Let's keep the energy going. Keep your energy going. In the midst of all the fun, all the relaxation, carve out a little bit of time to daven, a little bit of time to learn. Boys, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful Succos break. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get Yantiv.
9:48 right now. 9:48.